Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Cultured Nerd Podcast. Here we get to speak with the wildly talented Kehinde Martin, aka ATO Worldwide. Get it popping in here. We're here to talk about all of the things that make this man himself. We already lamenting that the 80s was the lost decade of the Jetsons. We've already talked about how terrible Indiana Jones is. Now it's time for you to get in this conversation, and I have plenty of questions to ask about Power Rangers. Taylor, hit the transition.
You did that with so much more energy than I'm capable of, so thank you for that.
I do it with an up breath. Taylor, you always do a down breath. I'm not here to give notes, my dude. I'm not here to give notes. I'm just excited to have everyone here today.
Well, that's why when we were in high school, you were the actor, and I was the guy who built all the shit you did your stuff on. So that's all we did. What we did.
I appreciate that.
Am I allowed to say something?
You are totally allowed to talk, my good sir.
No, because hold on. That shit was fucking flop, bro. Hold on. Listen, I've done a lot of podcasts and a lot of lives, and I had fun at every last one. I've never had a bad one. But this right here, the intro, like the way y'all.
Listen. I appreciate you liking that quality. I was only introduced to you today when I asked my friend Taylor here, who are we talking to? And then I got to discover you. And then I got to discover that you spit bars about Power Rangers. And that video was fire. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's all of these things that are melding up together that I didn't know nothing about that I'm learning about. So first things first, how did you two get introduced to each other?
Well, Tinder. I swiped. No, I'm joking. We have a mutual friend, Gabriel Valentine, and Gabe.
Digital as you do, Michael.
First of all, I love Gabe. We've developed an amazing rapport over a course of 3 or 4 years. And we have a dope rapport, me and him, man. And so one day he was like, hey, I have a friend that does this cool podcast, and I know you're doing more of the podcasting, and as you've been stepping into your voice acting and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then he was like, no, I'm serious. I have a friend that, and a lot of times people tell me stuff and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. But he was like, no, like, my boy is legit. He has a friend and a partner, and they do this thing. And I'm like, well, let me know whatever you're trying to do. And he was just like, all right. So we set it up, and then I started talking to Taylor, and then Taylor was, at first I thought I was kind of bothering him because I was like, because he did the the group thing on Instagram. So I was like, am I bothering this dude? And then I was like, let me just send him a message. And then he goes, hey man, I'm putting my little one down. I'll contact you. And I'm like, oh fuck, I think I'm bothering this man, because I had my little one here too. So I was like, all right, cool, no doubt, man. I was just trying to set it all up because I had so much stuff going on. I know July is going to be busy for me, so it's all kind of things going on. So let me line everything up right now. So then he hits me back. Taylor contacts me back. He goes, hey man, I'm free, XYZ. Are you available this day or this day or this day? I'm like, I'm just trying to do it. Let's get it. So I went and did some research on y'all. And I checked out some of your stuff, and I'm like, yo, this is official. I love it. This is great. They're like, and then I'm seeing all your posts, the culture on Instagram posts, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm ready. I want to do it. I want to do this. I really want to do this.
Yeah.
And then we started talking, and then I know I'm blathering. I just get excited.
You're not. And listen, and I love all these things. And it's just so you know, that's all Taylor. I do nothing. I roll out of bed and roll into this podcast. Funny, something you just said. You've been friends. This connection that you have, it's 3 years, 4 years old at this point. Those be COVID years. So I feel like everyone made that friend, and you guys went deep real fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It changes the dynamic on things.
That's crazy how we met too, because we went to It was a restaurant. There's a restaurant here called Farmer's Table, and my girl, it was her first time, I believe. We went there, checked it out, and then Gabe is in line with his other friend, and my girl's like, "Hey, those dudes look like they're in the industry. They're pretty," and I'm like, first of all, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm not gonna talk to some pretty dudes. Like, you know, she's like, no. She's like, they look like they're in because I'm doing my thing. So, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? All right, cool. We sat down. Ironically, the waitress sat them down literally right next to us, and then, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? And then we just started talking. And then I don't know how it came about, how it came up. He brought up Power Rangers and Digital Lizards and Chris Killian and comicbook.com. And I'm like, oh, that's my boy. He was like, nah. I'm like, nah, hold on. So I called Chris on FaceTime. I'm like, hey, dude, you know this dude? And then Chris was like, dude. And then Gabe goes, dude. And I'm like, dude. And then like, I'll call you back. And then that's how everything that was the icebreaker in a sense. You know what I mean?
You were 1 degree away from this person, and then you used your friend as a bouncer to be like, yo, is this person legit? And he like face scanned it and was like, yeah, you can trust this dude.
But it was just dope. I think it's just I think these connections are super duper fresh. But he and I got acquainted. This is when Comic-Con had the COVID the special, what it was like October, November or something like that, when Comic-Con came in during the winter. And he did his panel, and I did one with some of the Ranger guys. There was like a small little thing or whatever, and then from there we just kept in touch. And then one day he was like, "Hey man, you have IMDb?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "All right, give me your information. We're going to talk about this XYZ." And I'm like, "All right, cool." And then summer rolled around. He calls me up and he goes, "Hey, we're doing we're voicing Digital Lizards, but it's the audio book, and I would love for you to do one of the characters." So I did Mr. Emperor guy. So I made him like an intergalactic Caribbean space pirate dude or something like that. Because my background, I'm from the Caribbean, originally, right? So did that, knocked it out, did a whole episode, cool. Then fast forward later, as you see what they're doing now, a whole different situation came about it. And it's like the puppet show, and there was a second character, and then I went in for that one, and unfortunately it for me it didn't really work out on the second character, which is fine. But the cool thing I love is that I was able to get some people that I know that are talented to be a part of the project as well, and that's super dope. Like, you have, I don't know, it's just super cool, man. It's just really, really awesome and amazing. And I think I think as I was saying, those 80s kids, 90s kids, we were those kids growing up, and we grew up to become adults. And those adults took their imaginations and their interests, and they made them into jobs, and they made them into realities. And we have the Marvel Studios, and we have, I think that, like, Ted Turner, he was ahead of his time. Hanna-Barbera, they were ahead of their time. They did it first, but now we grew up and we made it mainstream, and it's a thing now. So, like, being a fan of a Power Ranger, and all of a sudden, bow, I'm literally putting on a helmet in a suit, and I'm hanging out with my idols. It's crazy, dude. Like,
I think one of the benefits of our generation is that, for better or for worse, we were told, go live your dream, go do that thing. Our parents, they had to sacrifice for those things. And I think that it's important that we tell kids, the next generation of kids, y'all don't get to have these dream jobs. You got to go do something else, okay? Because we're losing these jobs to everybody else right now, okay? Mm-hmm. I need to live my dream. You got to go be a plumber somewhere, okay, my dude?
Right.
You talked about Comic-Con and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We were just lamenting not too long ago that basically nothing's going to happen at Comic-Con. Taylor, are the actors allowed to go to Comic-Con?
They are not. So what's going to happen is on Wednesday, when the SAG-AFTRA strike goes into effect, which has already been voted and approved. The Hollywood machine is trying to prevent it as much as they can, but doesn't sound like it's going to. When they go into strike, their strike will cause ripples and waves that I think people are not even expecting. Obviously, all TV and all movies, anything that's tied to the SAG-AFTRA talent has to shut down. You can't have anybody doing any work. And then including that, all press for promoting or press junkets or anything like that. Like if you were about to go, Oppenheimer comes out next week. Guess what? If you had something scheduled for Thursday, it's canceled. And on top of that, then Comic-Con, because Comic-Con is an official capacity for actors to promote their projects. All conventions are cut down. So next week when Comic-Con begins, if this goes through on Wednesday, which is probably going to happen, only people that are going to be at Comic-Con are the comic book creators and the other nerds that are in that ecosystem. Nobody from movie or TV are allowed to be there.
So
basically, unless they're bought a ticket, they're fans.
Comic-Con's going to revert back to the dark ages as it once when it went. Wow, that's
the Comic-Con that Michael and I grew up with is going to go back into effect, and it's going to be a very weird scenario. And
oh my gosh, are you guys going to
be something else?
You guys going to be here for it?
I'm not. Michael could probably, but I'm up in a.
You know what's funny is Comic-Con has become such a event and spectacle. It's kind of those like E3, like do it once in your lifetime and then never again. I kind of was turned off by all of that. Maybe I go now that we're like in the fall of the empire. Like maybe now that it's like gonna be just like ragtag people selling comic books and stuff and toys and bootleg.
Yeah.
I mean, back what it used to be.
Yeah, back when the only place you could get a copy of that weird Fantastic Four movie was at Comic-Con.
Right. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Dang. I think where was I when I saw that for the first time? What it was, 93 that came out?
There was a guy, something like that, yeah. But I remember seeing it back in 2005 when we were at Comic-Con, and this dude just had like a little TV set up on a stand, and he was playing it. And I was like, this is real. And I was just watching him do it. He's like, do you want to buy it? I'm like, I might. This is kind of weird.
I had a neighbor when I was a kid. He used to his dad used to work at Fox. Is it Fox? I used to live in Orlando, and I had a neighbor. His dad worked, I think it was Fox. He used to work on TV or something like that. The Fox WOFL or something. But anyway, he used to always have like a bunch of obscure, weird like stuff. So one day he's like, hey, you guys, you want to come over and kind of check out the Fantastic Four? And I'm like, cartoon? And I don't think the cartoon was even out yet back then. And he goes, no, it's like a show. And I'm like, okay. So I go over and I see an orange Ninja Turtle. I'm like, is that a Ninja Turtle? It was Ben Grimm, obviously. He looks like a turtle. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. And then right after that, he showed me what it was, Guy Gardner? Guy Gardner? The Green Lantern series.
The 90s Justice League pilot that they did where you had Guy Gardner, you got a
Green
handful
Lantern.
of other Justice League members.
Yeah,
it was such a weird pilot.
Yeah, it was
I remember that.
The Flash, it was John Jones. I can't remember who else was in there. I don't think there was a Batman or a Superman because I think Dean Cain was Superman at the time.
Yeah, he was TV at the time. But what was that show? It was Justice League.
I forget what it was called, but I watched it. I was like, oh, this is all right. And then there was another one a few years later, the X-Men
Generation
movie.
X or
Generation Next to X or something like that. That was actually pretty good though.
I was actually pretty. I remember when they retooled the pilot and they turned it into just a straight like TV movie. I remember watching it on TV and I was like, hey, this is not bad.
Yeah, it was on Fox. I remember that. I remember watching it. There was a lot of stuff back then, man, that we saw that we didn't even realize what we were watching. It's crazy.
All of that. Right. I mean, all of that Marvel.
And for those who are watching, for those who are watching, I'm just going to bring up some images of what we were talking about. So this was the Fantastic Four movie from the 90s.
Hey.
It was something unique. And then for that Justice League pilot, we had the roster. I mean, everyone had their weird 90s costumes. He was Guy Gardner, but he was also dressed like Kyle Rayner, but it was also not. It was such a weird pilot. But they also had Fire, which is the Brazilian girl with the fire outfit, Ice, and the Atom, and Martian Manhunter was like the Watchtower guy. So it was a very interesting show, but it was just a pilot.
That uniform is better than anything I've seen on Disney Plus.
You think so?
That green jacket was better than everything I saw in. Well, okay, there's a lot of transitions here. I love that you told us I love the idea that bad Fantastic Four movie made its way to TV affiliates, and they're like, "Could you chop this up?" Like they were looking for anybody to buy that film, and nobody bought that film. I mean, eventually that movie it got shelved. Correct, Taylor?
So the actual story behind making that movie is one of the most ridiculously awesome stories I've heard in a long time. So this show, it was who owned it? I think it was Steve Rabner at the time. He was the producer. Or is it? Yeah. So his production company, Constant Films, they had bought the licensing for Fantastic Four, and with standard licensing, if you don't make a movie or you don't lease the characters in X amount of years, the licensing reverts back to the licensee holder. So this guy literally put down $1 million, made this 90-minute movie just so he could hang on to the licensing for another 10 years. And the sole purpose was never to release it. But people got it. They bootlegged the hell out of it, and it made its way everywhere. And it's one of those things where it's kind of like this long lost, like, yeah, they budgeted $1 million, and probably 50,000 of it was to make Ben Grimm's animatronic costume. It was such a weird time. But
well, it's so funny that you saw Ben Grimm as a kid and saw a rubber mask and was like, "Oh, that's a Ninja Turtle," right?
Yeah, I didn't know, because I didn't know. See, that's the thing, though. I didn't know what Fantastic Four was in 90. I think it was in 92 or 93, dude. Like, because I didn't know. I didn't.
94.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
94. Okay, let me see. No, 94. Then that's a lie, because I was watching the Fantastic Four cartoon.
Yeah.
Because the cartoon, dude, I swear Marvel used to throw all the stuff everything that's forbidden today, like DLC stuff.
Yeah.
Like what they in the Fantastic Four cartoon, the Iron Man cartoon, the Hulk cartoon. There were so many cameos.
Ghost Rider. I'm pretty sure Ghost Rider was showing up in everything in those days.
Yeah. They had a Silver Surfer cartoon as well.
Yeah.
They all crossed over a few times. I remember this.
Sorry.
Oh, so Michael, have you been on the internet today?
You sent it to me, so now I've seen it. It looks so good. They just did it.
Rip the arms off.
It took so long for us to get a Wolverine costume, and we finally got the costume. That's it, everybody. That's the costume.
Yeah.
And that's not the whole thing, because the mask is there too, but they're just not wearing it. They're going to save something special for the movie, hopefully.
Kudos to Ryan Reynolds, man, because Ryan Reynolds is basically the description of what I was talking about those kids that grew up and they became the interests that they loved. That's Ryan Reynolds, bro. Like that to the max. There's no who else is Rosario Dawson. Like she became Ahsoka. Like that's so dope, man. That is so cool, bro. Like damn, you're like, one day, bro. One of these days.
Well, Ryan Reynolds grew up in that. In all of his standalone movies, he's had lightsabers. He literally has a lightsaber in Free Guy. That movie he made for Netflix, the kid's like, that's a lightsaber. He's like, it's not a lightsaber. It's a lightsaber. So yeah, it's all of that stuff. I feel like an intrinsic quality of Power Ranger fans, and we were just talking about it with the Logan outfit, is the aesthetics of Power Rangers speaks to us. There's something about that look. How did Power Rangers is a lot like Pokemon. What generation are you? Where did you start with that?
I'm Gen 1, bro.
Okay, great.
I'm Zordon era. I go all the way from Gen 1, generation, the original, the very first, the pilot, all of that, all the way to the Disney era. Actually, I kind of stopped. For me, I stopped at In Space, I believe. In Space, a little bit of Lost Galaxy. I watched a little bit of Time Force, a little bit of Light Speed, and I stopped. And then Wild Force, then Ninja Storm came out, and I got my interest back. Right. I was like, yo, this is lit. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Now, and what grasped me was the theme music. The theme for there's no bad Power Rangers theme song. I'm sorry to tell you, they're all great. I haven't heard one bad Power Rangers theme song. So when I got to the Disney era, Ninja Storm was my thing. And oddly enough, when it first came out, I think I was in college, right? So when it first came out, I had just moved to San Diego and I was in school. I was going to Art Institute. And then I watched it. It was so great. I'm like, yo, this is ninjas and no black people. So I'm cool with the Pacific Islander. It's close enough. Right? Like, it's all good. Check it out. After the show ended, right? Many years later, Pua Magasiva, God bless the dead, he was the first Power Ranger actor to ever like acknowledge me, because at the time I had just did a single deal with Def Jam. I have this song out with what's his name? Frenchie from Brick Squad, this artist named Terrence Noble, is one of DJ Khaled's artists. And it was so dope to just kind of be amongst, like, to do that. And I had this song. I thought the song was going to go crazy, but Pua played the song for me on his radio station in New Zealand with his brother. It was called Flavor. And they would play the hell out of that song, dude. I'm like, yo, that's so sick. I'm like, damn, okay. And unfortunately, the single didn't go anywhere. The deal, it didn't work out, whatever. But anyway, but the Disney era was my thing, like as far as Ninja Storm, and then I kind of stopped again. Then I got a little bit of SPD, and then a little bit of there was another one I liked. SPD. Oh, it was Dino Thunder.
Dino Thunder. Yeah, they brought back White Ranger. I feel like every time they bring back the cast, I always tune back in again.
And that's the only reason I watched it, because when it came out, like I remember I was in class, and my buddy, I forgot his name, man. He worked on Appleseed, believe it or not. I forgot his name though, damn it. But he was like, hey man, the Green Ranger is back. And I'm like, on what? He goes, on Power Rangers. I'm like, what are you telling me for? He goes, because you watch Power Rangers. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I was in denial, right? He goes, bro, I've seen you in break room watching. I'm like, yeah, I watch it. Yeah. He goes, he's coming back. It's a new season. Blah 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 blah. So I saw it. I saw him, and I was just like, at first I didn't like it because I was like, he cut his hair. I don't like his haircut. That ain't Jason.
Yeah, that weird little goatee, line goatee that he did. I'm like,
and I'm like, damn, why is he responsible? Why is he a teacher? I don't like that. Like, nah. And then as it progressed, and it got, the whole story of him, the Dino Gems, and he has students, and then he got his own powers, and then the evil White Ranger that was essentially like a play off of his Green Ranger, which was sick, man. It was dope. And then that's kind of where it ended for me after all of that. But I was, Power Rangers had like a very special place in my heart. It's always been there. My very first mixtape, I don't know why I did this, but in the credits I shouted out the Green Ranger. I was like, I'm gonna give a shout out to the Green Ranger. I don't know why I did that, but I just did.
Well, that's I mean, it's your influences, right? Like Green Ranger is Vegeta. Green Ranger, you know what I mean? Like there's so many of these characters where right? You see them, and Power Ranger is filled with those types of characters.
Man,
my name, the dumb joke in my name was from a cassette tape I had that had the Green Ranger song. Right. And I would listen to it all the time. Go Green Ranger. And it's like funny because today, so much of that stuff I hear in like, oh, I like anime music. It's like, that's all right. That's all that stuff that like 90s power metal, but it's like sped up a little bit faster. Yeah. There's a little bit of a Casio in the background.
Yeah. It's all influence, man. Like, I mean, and I think, and to this day, I have yet to have a conversation with Wasserman, the creator of the Power Rangers and all the music. And it's a trip because when I was a kid, I used to always see Haim Saban's name on everything, Avi Rod's name on everything, Ron Wasserman. I used to always see these names. I'm like, why are these people's names on the thing? And then my dad used to always say, oh, they probably produced the show. He goes, next time you watch the show, read what it says. So I recorded a couple of stuff, and I would see. Remember that show, Grimm's Fairy Tales? It was like the very first anime on. It's technically an anime on Nickelodeon, and I would freeze it, and it would say produced, written, composed, song, whatever. And I'm like, oh, and that's what kind of jogged me to like, okay, if I ever get into the music business or entertainment, I want to be a part of like, program directing and music directing and producing and all of that. and then I started doing that, which is cool.
That show was the shit. It was on at like 2:30 in the afternoon. It was I feel like I knew some of the stories, but there was a bunch of stories I didn't know on there. Cartoons are so safe now. I miss the grab bag in the 90s where it would just be like just crazy stuff would show up on Saturday morning.
Yeah. What was dude? I just got finished watching it, and I was like, I can't believe I found it on YouTube. It was the Jim Lee, Generation Gen 13 or Gen something. I'll send you guys a link. I forget what it was called.
Are these about the kids in the ghost garage?
No, dude. You know what, man?
No. I think if you're Gen 13 was that. I think it's Gen 13. Is that the? I mean, it's either that or it's Wildstorm or something. But Gen 13, I think, was Jim Lee as well. It was a Disney DC show that came out in like the early 2000s, and it was based on the Gen 13 comic, which was insane. And I remember them putting it out there and adapting it. I was always like, "Oh, this is weird."
I found it.
Okay,
I found
it Gen 13.
It's I found it. It's called Gen 13, the movie remastered. It's a DC thing. It's DC, and I watched it because I remember watching it a while back, and I'm like, "Yo, this is not for TV because it's not for TV." I watched it. I'm like, "Yo, this is it's a shame that it didn't go anywhere, man. But it's pretty dope, bro. Like it's." I don't know. I just started watching it. It popped up on my YouTube feed one day, and I was like, "Oh wow, I'm gonna just watch it." So I sat down and I watched the whole thing, and I was like, "Yeah, this is not for TV. It's not for kids either." For real.
I loved cartoons not for kids. I feel like we don't. I mean, I guess that's what anime has become now. But in the 90s, there was more independent studios. Just all of that stuff. The MTV was really great with that stuff. But like
Liquid Television.
Just all that, getting to see all those art styles. I mean, I love that stuff. I feel like I see that stuff in independent creations on YouTube and stuff now, but you don't see that stuff getting funded anymore.
I'm probably gonna get crucified for this and I hope they're not listening, but I'm not a fan of the new anime, bro. Listen, bro. I'm classic, man. Where
do you disconnect? Because I'm going to tell you 3 shows that are amazing. But when I watch those 90s collections of Dragon Ball Z clips and stuff like that, there is that hand-drawn style. It just resonates, and I can feel that. I get that. When did you cut off though?
Okay, so I used to watch a lot in the early 2000s. I was the new Bubblegum Crisis. I was watching friggin' when they released Gundam Wing finally in the States, but Gundam Wing came out a long time ago. What was it? Cyborg 00?
Yes.
009,
yeah.
009? You know why I like that show is because it reminded me of Speed Racer a little bit because I like that weird 60s style. And Globe. Remember the band Globe? That outro music for that was so crazy, man. But when Cartoon Network started doing, and that's why I tell people Ted Turner, or whoever his team is, those folks are ahead of their time, dude. Because remember, Cartoon Network used to share a channel Cartoon Network and the Weather Channel used to share a screen before it became its own thing. Although they're both Turner Broadcasting. But when the Weather Channel was on, it was a split screen Cartoon Network. I'm like, yo, and my granny was like, why are you watching Weather? And I'm like, I'm not. I'm watching this. You know what I mean? But anyway, my disconnect was when after Cartoon Network was like, when it was cartoon, before Hanna-Barbera stuff, then all the cartoon stuff came out. Then they started playing a lot of anime, then a lot of action cartoons. And then, Yu Yu Hakusho. I got introduced to Yu Yu Hakusho via Toonami, and I love that's like my favorite anime one of my favorite animes all time.
Uwabara. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
You're a Meshi. What?
I'll beat you up so bad. Get out of here.
So when anime started becoming mainstream, because when I discovered Naruto, my very first Comic-Con, that was in 2003. And I didn't know what it was. I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird. They're wearing boots with their toes out. What is this? Like, I wasn't feeling it, right? But then when anime became a thing, like in the mid 2000s, and then all of this whole digital drawings, and like the illustrations look wonky, and the music was weird, and like every anime had like it was like a music video at the ending was a music video. And then when I Full Metal Alchemist, not Brotherhood, but the first one, you could kind of see where they were going with the animation. And I'm like, bro, like what's happening to anime, right? And then boom, 2010 happened. Then we started getting Fakatsu, what's not Fakatsu, no, Battle of Gods and like all this other Dragon Ball stuff. And then like the drawings were terrible. And then people started complaining. And then at the end of what Dragon Ball Super, they brought back the season 3 illustrators to kind of
the first 10 episodes or something, whatever the first arc of that, it looks garbage.
Right. And it's like, bro, like, and I've even said this to Sean, and Sean Schemmel was like, he's a mentor now, man. So like he's like very serious about Goku, bro. Like he does not play about Goku. Like he doesn't like people sending him memes or funny stuff or whatever the case is. And I just told him how I felt, and he was just like, I can kind of see where you're going with this. And I'm like, it's just that like a lot like One Piece and like the new One Piece and the new, I'm old school. And plus I went to art school. That's probably what it is too. Illustrations and stuff. I'm into hand-drawn stuff. I like classic 90s, DC, Marvel Comics, Jim Lee, Wildcats, Ultra Force. I'm into all of that stuff. All this new stuff.
I hear you. There is an anime X-Men show called My Hero Academia. It's out of this world. Demon Slayer is one of the best battle shows happening right now. Yeah. I hear you, especially with that jankiness. There's, it's funny is the point of anime, especially in like the late 80s and 90s, was you could do a story, you could do Ninja Scroll. You couldn't do Ninja Scroll in real life and make it look like that. Ninja Scroll looks like Ninja Scroll, every inch of that. When all of a sudden you would have them fighting in space and then like a CG Lego brick would come by, I was like, okay, you're taking me out of the world. Now, they've gotten a little bit better with stuff like that, and I totally hear that. But like, that stuff, or like, Taylor, what's the show with the robot suit? Macross, not that one, the other one, the one it's like Mad Max. You had it on VHS. Apocalyptic future. He's got long hair. You see those one lady's boobies. She takes off his 90 boobies. You know what I mean? He fights.
What was that show? It was during that time when we got really into weird, and it was like something with a G. Something with a G.
Gurren Lagann?
I liked Gurren Lagann.
No.
I love Gurren Lagann is my favorite. I love that show. I love the brotherhood between the two bro. Just who the hell do you think? Like that was so cool, bro. Like the Spiral King and everything, and the ending of it was sad because Simo and his brother they came from underground, then they inspired a whole bunch of people when they got to the surface, then they inspired the whole world to like rebuild itself, and then they created this whole society, and it went into outer space, and then when they got old, they got exiled. I'm like, that's messed up, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's so messed up.
I'll remember it at some point. I can't do it now. So there's this one show that I just started yesterday.
Yeah.
And this is one of the shows that I was like, okay, let's try this new anime, because I'm always kind of 50-50 with anime. Like lately, like Michael will tell me to watch something, I'll watch it. I'm like, nah, don't like it.
Yeah.
So this one is actually, it's the pilot. The first episode came out yesterday, and it started on Crunchyroll. It's only subbed right now, but it's called Zom 100. Wrong button. Zom 100. Bucket List of the Dead. So I started watching it last night. At maybe 1 a.m, right? So the show starts off, and this guy, he gets a job at a production company. He finds out that the production company is an exploitative production company, and they're like just the worst, right? And he's hating going to work every day. He's like, I wonder what's going to happen. I just really hope that something changes. And he falls in love with this girl at work, but she ends up being like the boss's mistress. So he's like, wow, my life sucks. And after 3 years of this, he's like, maybe I should just kill myself. And he's like, no, but if I do that, then it's worse for my coworkers. They'll have to pick up the slack. Maybe I should quit. No, but it's worse for my coworkers. I'll have to pick up the slack. So he was just like going through this motion. Then one day he wakes up and it's straight up zombie apocalypse happens, right?
Zombie,
and
yeah.
it was the funniest, most ridiculous thing, because when it started, he was like, "Oh, my landlord's a zombie. Oh, my neighbor's a zombie," and he's like, "I don't have to go to work today. I'm free."
Yeah.
And he's running around blissfully, like parkouring his way through the society while he's like being chased by zombies. And I'm like, okay,
That's crazy.
I can get behind this. And it's like, but what's very cool about this show is that, yes, it's graphic, it's zombies, everything. It's just, it's insane. But they also have this color palette where it's like, not all the zombie stuff is red and guts. Like there's some blues and yellows and greens, and it's like it's really colorful. And I'm like, wow, I like what they're doing with this. This is weird.
Okay, then I will just say this: we can move away from modern anime. If we're talking about the one, I feel like you might get into, because we were talking about that stuff. I would recommend Chainsaw Man. It's not a shit ton of episodes. You can really commit to it, and the art style they're doing Quentin Tarantino in anime, and it's really well done, and it hits. It's that of all the like things that like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like I like the boys. I like when their hair turns shiny. I like when they defeat their rivals. Chainsaw Man would be the one I'd be like, this is pushing the art form a little bit further.
Right. You know, just to be fair, let me. I shouldn't have. I probably should have came a little less harsh on anime. I love anime. We just had we went to this Japanese. My girl and I, we got some food and stuff. Went to a market and I bought a whole bunch of like candy and nandu katatayata. Like I was doing all of that, messing with her and stuff. But I love Japanese culture and I love anime. I that's one of the things that got me into the stuff that I'm into right now. Tokusatsu and you know all the Sentai stuff and Sonic. Like I love all of that stuff, man. And like hell, I have a 6-year-old here and she's into everything I'm into, man. And it's great to see her that she loves this stuff, man, and it's so cool. I guess I'm becoming the old man because I just love the classic stuff. Like my favorite anime of all time is the first anime I've ever watched. Well, other than because Grimm's Fairy Tale is technically Maya the Bee. That's anime. Like that's all Japanese.
Sure.
But officially, my very first anime was Vampire Hunter D, and I can watch that movie all day, every day, any day. The original Vampire Hunter D. I just watched the remastered one with the redubs. I don't like the redubs. Like they don't even sound cool. They don't sound like the original, but it's good. It's a great anime. And then there's Ninja Scroll. But I just have an issue with people not wanting to stay on. I guess it's task, like drawing with your like hand drawing stuff. I mean, the digital stuff is great. It's beautiful. It's pretty.
There's one guy in Japan who draws it. His name's Miyazaki, and he's gonna basically he's doing a new movie. They're not gonna even advertise the new movie. It's just like, all right, he did a thing. Come check it out. It's so few and far between. I mean, I don't think it's a dying art form, but it's gonna be very niche projects. It's gonna be one a year.
Yeah.
Right? How many? Did you see that movie? It was on Apple. It was about a wolf girl. She turns. She lives in a town, but they keep fighting these wolves. The wolves are magic, but it's all drawn like a top-down painting from the medieval times. It was great. It was on Apple. It was such a fun, unique animation style. But I'm like, man, these studios are going to pay for one of these a year, right? Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, great, dark, weird. We're going to get one of those a year.
Speaking of Guillermo del Toro, and I hope someone in this camp hears me when I say this. First of all, if you take Guillermo del Toro, Taylor, you are a very smart man. I watch your posts, bro. I watch your posts. I love your posts, dude. And you might agree with me on this, dude. Guillermo del Toro and his monster and scary storytelling and his way of, and Zack Snyder, his visuals. And someone wrote a script for Yu Yu Hakusho, a movie. Wouldn't that be crazy? It's like Beetlejuice and Speed Racer and Hellboy on crack, dude.
Oh, they had such a good thing going for them when they had GDT signed to do Justice League Dark. Like that was such a good time. I have so much of the concept art just like on my computer that I love everything that they were doing with that movie. I loved the dark hulking swamp thing that he had prepped. The way Constantine was, even Zatanna turning into like a modern day gothic punk girl. I thought that was way cool. Netflix is already doing a live action Yu Yu Hakusho, and I am so cautiously optimistic about it. But the only thing, like, I saw what they did with Cowboy Bebop, and I'm like, all right, you got everything right except for whoever wrote the show. You guys,
I turned it off after the first episode. I called Taylor. I was so crestfallen. I was like, it looks like it. It sounds like it. That's the music, and it just was like, nope, that's not the show.
Damn, dude, and it's so messed up, man, bro. Like, and real quick, man, I'm a DC head, bro. I'm Bruce Wayne, like, and what got me into DC, I think my uncle was the first person to give me a Batman comic growing up, which is cool. But how I fell in love with Batman was when the animated series came out. When you see all the Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and Dwayne McDuffie, like you see their work and what they do and then what it turned into over the years, that is the best introduction and that is the best way to describe Bruce Wayne and Batman, because that is him. And you know what else too? Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. Like he's the greatest in my opinion. But what's the guy's name who did from the New 52 animated films? Like what's the actor who does Batman? He was in War. He's
the pretty guy. What is his
son of Batman?
Batman Bomber?
Robin. That's his name?
No. You're talking about
the voice actor.
Oh my god, I had his name and you said Matt Boomer and I lost it. It was
because he's done voices too, right? He's done some of them.
No, we're talking about God, son of a bitch. I'll just Google him.
I was about to say, I think ATO is going to beat you to it.
I'm doing it right now.
Oh, yeah, you are. Here we are.
Jason
O'Mara.
Jason
there
O'Mara.
He is.
Yes.
His Batman is amazing.
Yeah,
and
Jason
I like
O'Mara.
Him.
Drop.
Yep.
This fella.
Oh, that fella.
He was in he was like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was in that one show, Terra Nova, the one that like the Jurassic Park time travel show.
Yeah.
Sliders plus Jurassic Park.
Yeah. And that show pissed me off because like I liked it a lot, and then when it ended, I'm like, why don't we get a season 2? Because apparently I'm the only one in the country watching the show. Like I was legitimately mad about it.
Terra Nova was good, man. That was a good show. That's it's a guilty pleasure of mine too. It's on NBC. The Dino thing, man. Time travel. It's called
La Brea Tar Pit one.
La Brea, yeah. It's like a terrible good show. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like the CG. I don't like the CG. I just hate the CG. That's all.
You can ask Michael. I've always been into those like terribly like these shows that are destined to fail. Like I think I remember watching. I think it was The Cape. I watched that, and that obviously got canceled.
You probably like Nightman. You probably like Nightman.
I did. I love the saxophone intros. I love the saxophone stuff. That like car that he drove and like his like.
Oh, the Prowler.
Yeah.
You did all of the like CW dude shows. Like
I did all of them.
You did Supernatural. You did Roswell. You did
original Roswell. When they remade it, I didn't even touch it. I was like, no, the original one's good.
I didn't do Supernatural. I did Smallville. I loved me some Smallville, bro. Like,
does your girl make you watch Gilmore Girls?
No, actually, she doesn't really like a lot of TV, man. So, but you know what though? I'm gonna tell you why I like Gilmore Girls.
There we go.
I'm gonna tell you why. You ready?
Lorelai G.
Well, hot. Okay, no. Look, their pacing and their timing, like their acting. Because when the mom and the daughter, it's like they're bouncing off of each other. It's like the rebuttaling is so dope. Like I just love the acting in that show. The acting in the Gilmore Girls was really good. Like really, really freaking good. Like
The fact that they set a pace for that cast and then said, no, this is what it is, because they really get it. It's when they brought it back. That's the thing that's not there, because it'll be on in the background, and you watch those, especially like season 2. It's like, oh yeah, they in it. It's like everybody knows their part. They come in from all these different angles, and just when they brought the show back, it just didn't have that flair anymore.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's true. Very true. Yeah, man.
What were your other? Because it's so funny. Because cable was coming about when we were kids, and there ain't no internet at this time, you would see that kind of bubbling up of kind of the last generation. You talked about 60s action animation and stuff like that. I feel like those shows, I remember them, but they were tough to get in, not tough to get into. They were tough to catch regularly. Before they would do blocks of Justice League and stuff like that, you would it'd be on at weird times. You'd be like, what was that show? Or like the Space Ghost stuff. It was like, I saw one episode and what was it? What were some of those shows that stand out to you?
What I got introduced to was probably Speed Racer. Because remember, MTV used to play Speed Racer at midnight. So back in the day, after Liquid Television, when you watched the Max and Eon Flux and all that cool stuff, they were just so Speed Racer. And I remember it was midnight. I was at my grandma's house, and I'm sitting on the floor. I think I was talking to my little brother, one of my brothers or something like that. And all I saw was, I'm like, what? And then here it comes Speed Racer. And all of a sudden, my grandma starts singing the song. And I look at her, dude, this is 1990, 2, 3? And I'm looking at my grandma, I'm like, you know this? And she's like, oh yeah, I used to watch it when I first moved to America. And I'm like,
Speed Racer is in your DNA. You're right. Even that show, when your grandmother moved there, she could still remember the sound, right? It still looked like Speed Racer.
Was doing this. She was doing the little, she was doing this. And I'm just looking at my grandma. I'm like, what? It's so crazy. And then we're watching the show, and then I'm intrigued, right? So you know how when he hops out of the car, when he does the pose, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good. And then you see, oh, hey, Speed, like the choppy, it's all choppy and stuff. And I'm like, yo, this is kind of crazy. And then his girlfriend Trixie, his weird little brother, and they have a monkey, and then their dad. Yeah, and then his brother, I'm his longest brother, Racer X. I ran away from home because I was angry at my dad. Haha. I was like, what?
Racer X could be a Power Ranger.
Racer X
is a Power Ranger.
He's Scott Summers. Don't argue with me.
Yo! He's Scott Summers. Does that make Speed Racer Havoc?
Nah.
No, okay. He's just some other dude.
Because Scott's dad, he's a space pirate, so
he went around.
His DNA's everywhere.
Yeah, brother. It was Scott Summers, Havoc, and Warpath was the other one, or was it Thunderbird? I can't remember which one of the two.
Which one was? It wasn't one of them a clone or a twin brother of one of the brothers, a Scott or something?
Originally, they actually were supposed to. And it was one of those abandoned plot lines of the 90s. Where they were actually going to reveal that Gambit was the missing brother because he was adopted and all that stuff. But then they're like, nope, it's too circumstantial. Let's not do it. And so that's why they were like, oh, we should do this. Let's make his powers the same color. Let's do this. And then they abandoned it.
Can we just pour one out for a second for Gambit? Because as kids, I thought Gambit was going to be the biggest superhero of all time. I don't understand why everyone didn't love Gambit.
Well, the thing about Gambit, he was just too reminiscent of a bad guy, and everybody wanted the Bruce Willis Wolverine dude to be the main dude. Because remember,
I got friends sending me random things, and I'm going to pull this up on the screen just because I want y'all to see this. Because
breaking news, everybody, direct from the source.
Breaking news: Rogue is going to be in the Marvels. Sorry.
The internet is an amazing thing, and I love it when set photos come out. Because here is a set photo right now from the Deadpool movie, and this is the best thing I have seen in so long that I don't even know what to say. This is just why Open it. Just do it. Oh my god, it's the wrong file type. I hate you, internet.
Yo,
1 second.
when
1 second.
when MCU decides to bring in the X-Men, they should have Rogue kill Brie Larson. Just take all of her powers out of her.
Wait. Can I say something?
Yes.
That's a rumor that's going on right now.
Is it really? Is it really?
It is a rumor, yeah.
It's a super rumor, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's too good. Kevin Feige will give us that.
This is Deadpool level meta amazingness.
Okay.
Let's do it. No!
Shut up.
No! What?
Wow.
Hey, look to the hey, look to the far right.
Yeah, there's a little Wolverine in the bottom corner.
Yeah.
There's a rocket. There's the destroyed 20th Century Fox logo. Like, Deadpool is amazing.
Like, I love that they're filming. I love that they built that. Like, we're gonna see them come out of that. It's gonna look like it's gonna look like Planet of the Apes. It's gonna look
better.
Yeah.
You better have a scene where Deadpool's like, this crazy son of a bitches. Why? This is a good segue because I feel like everyone has their own favorite flavor of Coca-Cola. What is your favorite Wolverine? Do you like when he's jacked in the woods? Do you like when he's like a mutant on the run? Do you like when he's a samurai?
Okay, my favorite Wolverine. Okay, so I'm very I like the Hugh Jackman, like that take, like the real world, dude on the what is it, the lumberjack, or he motorcycle, typical like crazy white dude with, like he'll beat your ass. Like I like that. But my favorite, and I was just watching it last night on Disney Plus, animated series. No, animated series, man. Like,
yeah,
you're looking to get wasted, ain't you? Like, because like that Wolverine was borderline racist. Like, I don't know why I felt like he was just a racist dude. Like, but he was also the shit because he was from Canada. You know what I mean? Like, in the Alpha Flight stuff. Like, I think that Wolverine is the hardest Wolverine because he was such a brute. And even if he got his ass kicked, he'll come back and he'll find a way to whoop you. And it's classic. I mean, X-Men, Wolverine and the X-Men was cool. I like that. That was a good one.
I was kind of like on the fence with that one. I was like, I like the plot. I like some of the animation. I didn't like how they depicted certain characters. I had some issues with that, but
I didn't like Evolution. This right here, that's Wolverine right there.
Yeah,
that's Wolverine. All the 90s, like the comic book cards and the comics, like all the 90s stuff. That's my introduction. As a matter of fact, there was a kid in my class when I was in, I think it was in the second grade or something like that, right? Second or third grade. This kid named Keenan, he had like a book of cards, and I'm like, dude, what is that? He was like, oh, these are called comic cards, right? And I'm like, what's a comic card? He goes, well, it's not a comic book, but they're panels from comic books that are in cards. And I'm like, okay. He goes, you want to check them out? So I'm checking them out, and I'm like so hyped. And he goes, you know what? He goes, you know what, dude? He goes, you know what, bro? He goes, my dad works for them. And it didn't register. Listen, it didn't register, right? So he goes, oh, it's cool. My dad works for them. I have all this stuff at home. You can have this one. He gave me a whole book with cards, and I took it home. And my mom was like, what is that? I go, my friend at school gave it to me. And she goes, I don't believe that. So she took me to school the next day, and then she went to my friend. Did you give my son this? And Keenan was like, oh, yeah, I brought him another one, too. And he gave me another one. And my mother was like, that is so cool. She goes, thank you so much, right? So as the school year went on, he would bring all this cool stuff, and this is my introduction to Marvel, DC, and I started drawing these guys like Wolverine, Daredevil, Elektra, whatever, right? And his dad comes to the school. Turns out, I don't remember his dad's name, but his dad had on a Marvel Comics jacket and all of this stuff. And he goes, oh, I'm about to go. We're talking about, one day we're gonna have movies about these guys. But right now we're working on a new cartoon that's going to come out. It's called The Uncanny X-Men. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think anything of it. Well, it was The Uncanny X-Men. And here's the funny thing. He was at Comic-Con. The guy, the father, I don't remember. This is so long ago. He was at Comic-Con in 2000. I want to say 2008. And I talked to him. And then it dawned on me. And I'm like, you have a son named Keenan? And he was like, yeah. How do you know? I said, he was my classmate. at Palm Terrace Elementary School. And he looked at me, he freaked out. He was like, "Oh my God, that is so cool." Like, it was so cool to see that and to see him. But I guess he works on all this Marvel stuff or whatever. But that was my introduction to, like, you know, the X-Men and Marvel comics and Marvel books and all of that stuff. And I got hooked. From that day, I was hooked, bro. Like,
those comic book cards, because when you're a kid, you don't have money. I don't have money to buy stuff, but you could get like all these different stories. The Fila 94 cards where Wolverine is fighting the Punisher and he's coming at him like this, and the Punisher's got a gun like that. That image is just burned in my brain because it was the coolest image I had ever seen when I was, 9 years old.
The one where he shot his face off.
I remember that one.
Remember that one? And then Wolverine goes, "It's all right, bub. It'll just grow back." I'm like, what?
Dude, Punisher versus Wolverine card, 1994. I'm going to yes and your Wolverine because to me, that comic book, the cartoon Wolverine, basically was the same time as the Capcom Children of the Atom X-Men Wolverine. That Wolverine to me, I mean, it's so in my brain. That's what Wolverine is. Berserker Barrage.
Okay, well that was the only introduction of the X-Men that we had, the Jim Lee stuff, into the Capcom games. And matter of fact, we were just oh, she took it out there. I was just showing the kid that stuff. Like, I was like, "Oh yeah, you want to play? You want to check this out?" She's like, "What's that?" And I showed it to her, and she's like, "Oh my God, is that Wolverine? He looks different. That's Cyclops. He looks different. Why is Rogue? Why is she so strong? How come Rogue can fly?" Oh, I'm just like, "You were born yesterday, baby. You have a lot to learn."
You don't know shit. You a baby.
Man, yesterday, baby. You know what I mean? But yeah, dude, that was my intro and stuff, and I love that. And I mean, from that, I started buying comics. I was getting into the DC stuff. And I loved a lot of DC stuff, man. Like, especially, what was it when the Death of Superman or the Nightfall comics? I bought Nightfall and I bought Death of Superman at the same damn time at the grocery store, and I was pissed. I'm like, why is he breaking his back? And I was like, how does this ugly dude kill Superman? Who are all these other Supermen flying around? I'm just all over the place with it, man.
Taylor, what are you looking up?
I'm going to show you. I know Michael will appreciate this. Let me find it. I just got to find the. There we go. I have so many photos on my phone of my kid. I got to find the right one because that's being a parent. You just take every photo on your phone of your kid.
This shit is just burned in my brain. I live in this world all day long.
My bad. I had that on my other screen here. I was going to present it in a second, but you beat me to it because you Google stuff.
I had to Google it faster than you.
No, I mean, I had it. I just got distracted.
Oh, what can I say? I don't have any babies to look at, so I could do it.
Yeah. How long have you guys known each other?
Since we were 5.
Since Taylor's mom bought me Costco pizza when we were 5 years old.
So in essence, you guys are brothers.
He only has sisters, so yeah.
Yeah, so Taylor, my parents referred to Taylor as my wife because my parents canceled cable, and Taylor's family, they were fine with me spending the night every night. So yeah, I would say I have a couple of different brothers. I would say Taylor is definitely in there. Yeah, that cabinet, son.
So dude, I bought the arcade 1-up cabinet for Christmas for my kids, and my 2-year-old is just like, it's his jam. He plays it every day.
That's so sick, man. I remember when the did you buy the regular standard one or the big Shaq one? The Shaquille, they have like a Shaq size one with the riser.
One. I needed the big one because I'm 6'1". I'm not super tall, but like those little ones are like to hear on me, and I'm not gonna go hunchback. Exactly. I needed the big one. So
I have 2 of them in storage. My place isn't. I don't have space until we move into our bigger house. Until we get our house, actually, our big house, and it's in storage.
I'm happy to hear about the blessing of a new house. I'm sorry that you have all of your cool shit is in a storage bin somewhere, and you keep thinking about all the stuff you want. It's there. You just don't have it right now,
bro. I order stuff, I buy stuff, and then you know where it goes? To storage. It goes to storage.
Well, I don't want to send you to storage. I want to send our listenership over to you. ATO Worldwide, where do you want people to follow you? How can they find out breaking news about you?
All right, so everything is ATO Worldwide, as you can see at the bottom. Just follow me. Hit me up. I have a lot of cool. We didn't even talk about any of the. Damn, we just got. This is what happens.
We'll have you back on. You can come back anytime you want to. This isn't like whenever you want to come back and talk, we can talk about this because this is what we talk about here at the Cultured Nerd.
Oh, look what I just picked up. I found it on the floor.
Yeah, there it
is. That's my boy, man. That's one of my really good friends, man. It's so cool. Yeah, dude. So ATO Worldwide, all social media handles, all my music is ATO Worldwide. You can find me on whatever you listen to your music, whatever DSPs you listen to your music on. I have some new music coming out. I have a new project that's going to be coming soon. Working on a couple of fan projects with a couple of these really cool independent studios that do really good work. I'm auditioning for, ironically, a bunch of anime right now. Got a foot in with that, which is really fun. And yeah, just be on the lookout for whatever I have coming out and going, because I want to get too deep. I don't want to get into like what I'm doing and what I'm just follow ATO Worldwide for any updates.
Listen, it's a tough business, and there are lots of things in your head you would love to have manifest. You don't need to get anyone's hopes up. You are a magician and you're making these things happen. Thank you for joining us here today. Thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thank you for
Taylor,
having me, man.
You can go back to your baby. You can go back to your 6-year-old. They need to be taught about the X-Men. So I will let you both go school your children.
Hey, that is so cool, man. Dude, Taylor, you have man, I'm so jealous, man. Because see how your room is? That's exactly, I wrote, it's out there.
He was already playing with his Mandalorian helmet. He was like, I got one of those too. Yeah.
I'll send you a video. It's a mess right now, but it's got like all my Gundam packages. I put them into frames because all my Gundams I put together and I put on the bookshelf right behind me.
Is that a proton pack? Is that a proton pack back there?
Yeah, it's the HasLab one that came out with a couple years ago.
I need you to really delete me off of your page. I don't want to see any more of your bro. We have the Mandalorian stuff. Funny, dude. You know what's so crazy?
No, he has all of them. He has all of them.
Yeah, is that the covert commander, man?
White Boba, Empire Strikes Back Boba, Reforged Boba. Death Watch. And then
Boba was supposed to be a stormtrooper. The original one was in white, and they were like, it's too expensive to make. So they spray painted him green and sent him with Darth Vader to a Christmas parade and somewhere in the valley.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
And then people loved it. And then they're like, all right, we're putting him in the movie. We got the one suit finished. Let's make him a thing.
So they put him in the cartoon.
Wait a minute. Is that a Dragon Radar?
Yeah. And
that's his
next to it.
Literally his baby's favorite toy.
Is that an 89 belt? Batman belt?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the end of the episode. No. Taylor, turn the stream off. You're gonna make him sad, okay? The man's stuff lives in a storage unit. He can't have his toys.
Bro. Yeah. What? Where'd you get that?
That's the NECA one that they put out for pre-release.
This is my whole life. ATO, this is my whole life. Taylor's always had the toy. He's always got the thing.
So it comes with the gun, but this one collapses. Right. Wow. So when you open this bad boy up, you get all the capsules for his belt. So you can be like, you get a little scuba mask one. I'll slide that one in. Little scanner. I'll slide that one in. Gas pellets, and then I'll do. Oh, then he's got.
Batman is a walking. Yeah, he's a walking arsenal. Look at all these weapons on Batman.
Oh, and then a drill. I'll put that one in. And then you take this thing out. The buckle is the release. And then you can just, and it has a separator on the back to make it bigger so you can put it on.
So Dad can wear it.
Yep.
Nice.
For sure. Oh, and the sides open up. You got a little compartment here and then a compartment over here. Like it is the most ridiculous thing that I bought, and I love it so much.
Taylor,
I would love it too.
Each week we're talking about what we should be doing. Listen, there ain't going to be no new movies for a while, and if the actors aren't working, that's going to dry up. Let's just show off your toys. We'll go one line at a time. I'll have you hold them real slow. You'll tell me where you got them.
Right, and then so this thing is also magnetic, so you can Let me see if I can get it on there.
Yeah, my sword,
It hooks onto the belt.
Yeah. My Power Ranger sword is magnetic. It sticks to my back. Pull up. Damn, that's so dope, man. Where I need to come visit my brother out, and you guys live in Seattle, right?
I'm outside of Seattle. Michael's actually in Hollywood.
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, you in LA? Oh, I was just in LA. Damn. It's good to know.
Anytime you want to come over, I got records at the house. We can do all the LA things here.
Dope,
Anyways,
man.
But
Guys,
before we go nuts, we should probably wrap.
We'll play Street Fighter.
I'm gonna get yeah.
We'll play Street Fighter 6.
Street, okay. Get off of live. Let's talk real quick. You can unlive it right now.
All right.
Unlive it, and we'll just talk right quick.
All right. Well, I'll bring it home. So thank you all for joining us today. If you want to help support us and help us do what we do, head over to the patreon.com/theculturednerd. Help us keep the lights on. That's what we do. And thank you, all you beautiful people who do help us. I have been your host, Taylor Murphy, my co-host, Michael Santel. The logo is made by the immensely talented Jose Navarro. And that intro that ATO was loving was made by me and Jay Stu. So Jay Stu knocked out of the park with that music. I had a little fun with that video editing. Lots of fun there. If you guys are at home, go ahead, scan that QR code. Harass us on any platform you would like. The only one who's running the Instagram right now, a couple of my buddies are running the Twitter. I don't know if I want to get into Threads. We'll see what happens. There's too much stuff happening on the internet, but thank you all for joining us. As you may have also noticed, all of our other shows have now been separated into their own channels. So scan that QR code and follow Jason's show, follow Grant's show, follow the other Michael show. They have channels now for all of them. The backlogs are there. Head over, give them some love, and then stay tuned for this week because they'll be on this week. So thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, ATO Worldwide.
Peace, y'all.